How are you guys doing? What's happening today for you?
We, like, for me, we had a nice weekend. I got to consider, or I was just in just observing, I was noticing how a way in which Kevin shows love that I don't always pick up on. And because oftentimes it like freaks me out. He's a big mover in like projects or change.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out of the city every week. So we go to the state and we don't have cell service, we don't have anything, just our kids in the country. Um, and he was talking a lot this weekend about building a dance studio up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I heard it differently this weekend than I have the last few years when he talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he talks about it, immediately my inner chatter is, when am I going to have time to dance? I'm just watching my kids. Like, that's going to be a waste of energy because I won't ever use it for a few years. But regardless of my inner chatter, it was just nice to be like, oh, he is thinking about me being happy more often than I realized.
Okay.
So that's kind of a big deal for me this weekend.
What was he doing very specifically for you to feel that he's thinking about you?
He was, well, something he does when he wants to connect with other people, I've noticed, is he like, let's go into business together. Hey, I got this idea, let's make it. Like, he does my dad, my brother, like everybody. He like constantly coming up with business ideas. He's
Okay.
like, take this. So I saw it, and often I'm like, oh wow, he really wants to connect with them. So this weekend I was like, okay, he wants to participate. He wants to help me.
Great.
So regardless of what, and my general thing is like, oh no, this isn't going to work. This or that or this or that. If I can just quiet all that down and just specifically, he's like in dreamland mode of the possibilities. Um,
Okay.
that's not exactly specific.
Yeah. No, that's specific. And you're able to receive that and let that in, and that is a way for you to feel that you're being cared for.
Yeah, even though to me it's not necessarily the priority.
What's not the priority?
Building a dance studio.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's nice to like, uh, it separates us when I can be like, okay, we don't have to be this smashed pancake of we both are on the same page priority wise going around like this.
Okay.
When there could have been in the last several years, I could shut him down all the time when he was just trying to dream. So then we're both doing the same like thing for
Okay.
each other.
So his love language is corporations.
Yes. I was gonna write you an email, but that's so much easier than my email.
his building corporations and conquering the world and helping people in all new sorts of ways with incredible creativity is his love language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because even right now he's doing he's doing like board of director stuff with the school,
Okay.
and they're making all these plans and pulling things out that don't work and analyzing and doing this dance that I'm like, yeah, that works on many levels.
Okay. Great.
Get clear, concise, like attempts at.
Okay.
That's me right now.
Okay. Is that nice for you to know, Kevin?
Yeah, it's good she, I guess, had some time to analyze and figure it out rather than compartmentalizing it or something.
Do you feel like I have gotten mad at you in the past?
No, I mean you got your hands full, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll just figure it out on my own.
Okay. So there's it. I'm always up for catching your partner doing something right. Catching in the act of doing something right. And there's a really big difference between uh, uh, it's like it's very powerful to see how the other person loves and then to let that in and appreciate and admire that they want to love you that way. And then there's something that is what causes us to disconnect so often, which is the way I want to be loved. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So uh, so that's also there. Is that correct, Catherine?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm curious if there's one of those for you, Kevin. Is there like some way that you'd like to be loved differently? Actually, I think probably one is what just happened, recognizing how much you do and how much you and how real that is for you to care that way by building great things. And she's recognizing that. Is that a way to care about you?
It is, yeah. I mean, I've been doing it my whole life, planning for my marriage and making sure that I had everything ready for when I met someone and got, this way we can hit the ground running and we're not struggling. So we can concentrate on other things, but
Yeah.
still struggling to build new stuff, I guess.
Are there ways other than, I mean, it sounds like doing business is a big, it's a very real thing. Are there ways that Catherine could love you differently or better that gets missed? Is there something that you're craving?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's. I mean, I'm going to split this in half. Doing business, it's for her, she needs to dance, so it's not really business. It's her core. She needs that. Otherwise, she just,
Got it.
She's not very functional.
She's not functional. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
Like part of her being. So she's not dancing. So I realized the importance of that. So, yes, if I can figure out a way, which I think somehow maybe as even a nonprofit with, Dance Kitchen, she can have a community and dance in her life that is, relationship wise meaningful and dance wise meaningful, then it's a plus for everyone. It's not to make money or anything. Either we find donors, large donors that can put money in, or people pay and it self-sustains, but it's not business per se, incorporating making money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first part.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part was how can she better let me know that she appreciates what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard. We have, children that have figured out they're just as crafty as we are combined, and we're struggling to stay 2 steps ahead of them, and they're struggling to stay 3 steps ahead of us. And so she carries the brunt of that. So she's very focused on keeping them alive and fed and.
That's a good focus.
Yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic when you have a relationship and then all of a sudden this being comes in that's taking 110%. You're like, whoa. But,
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, I appreciate all of her efforts in therapy to smooth over or help us learn. And her efforts in, date night on Wednesdays, you know,
Great.
to keep things, going. And, no, I really don't have any complaints, and I think.
When do I make you super frustrated?
Frustrating?
Yeah.
Say that again. What did you say
I said,
exactly?
when do I make you super frustrated? Like,
Uh, well, I guess.
because I know there's times in our day when I could feel, or when we're like playing off each other, and you for sure don't feel appreciated. Whatever.
Well, I mean, the other night she said, "Oh yeah, I said she's seeing some therapist lady," and I said, "Well, what do you do with her?" She's like, "Oh, I just spend the whole time crying." And I said, "You're talking about our relationship?" Yeah. I said, "So basically, our relationship is a failed relationship if you're spending your time crying the whole time with this person, and that's not good." So.
I like that I like that it concerns you, Kevin, hearing about it. I know it probably feels like, I mean, what you just said the word, failure. It's a fail. But I want to make it a little more important right now that bothers you. I'm curious what bothers you about it.
Well, that I failed, I guess, in giving her an environment or reacting or participating or whatever. I don't even know how I failed. I'm not quite sure I have failed, but just the situation in her eyes is a failure because she's spending the whole time crying, and I don't know, maybe that lady's, cooking onions in the back or something and charging her all this
I
money.
knew you were going to say something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cut you off, but I never used the term failure though in regards to our relationship. I was saying I was feeling sad, and then I spoke to him about, like, just because a boat is in a storm doesn't mean it's a failed boat. Like, just because the water's doing all this stuff doesn't mean it's failed.
What you're doing right now, Catherine, is very sweet because you're protecting his feelings.
Okay,
Which
but
is
this is the conversation that happened.
yeah. It's and I don't mean that sarcastically. It's very sweet. You want him to not feel like he's done something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very sweet.
I guess because I don't see it as an individual thing. I just see it like I see plenty of things that I did wrong or that I've done wrong to create the storms, at least those storms in me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you like, I just never used the word fail. I think I used the word repair.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, coming from a single-handed sailor that's been through a perfect storm, 35-foot rolling waves for 5 days, 2 storms collided, and I got knocked down. If your boat is leaking pretty bad, that's not good.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to deal with it if you have to deal with other things.
Yeah.
So I don't, I mean, I know failed is an extreme word, but it'll get a better response, I guess, than some small leaks that just need dealing with. But if you're crying through an entire therapy session and not saying a word, that to me is a major problem. or this lady is.
I feel like this is also a hearing thing on our ends because I said a lot more than that. And I said, when you asked if I was talking about us, I said, no, not just us. I was talking about sleep deprivation, about dance, about our relationship, about my social implant into the East Coast, lots of things. I'm not just not talking.
So it's all failed.
No, it's like a transplant. I'm just rooting. And it can be painful. It's not failed. We're here. I guess I just have not used that word. So then I feel like you're just trying to trigger me. Extreme words.
Yeah. Now, we're inside the pattern of what keeps you distant from each other right now in real time.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we're even needing to do this call is because of what's happening right now, which is really cool because it's happening now, and the reason is here right now. Right? Even though you both might be like, well, what? Okay, great. How do we fix it? Right? Okay. So you're both using words, which is kind of all we have, right, to describe this word failure that came up and what it really means, right? And you both care about the topic, but you're not in connection with each other about what it really means more directly in your hearts, right? Like you're actually heading right towards a fight right now over the semantics. And that's because of two ships crossing in the wind, both caring incredibly deeply about each other, but not knowing how to make that known. Does that fit? Are you mapping that onto what's happening? Does that feel accurate?
I think it does.
Okay. So Kevin uses the word, I don't want to harp too much on failure representing the whole conflict, but it's a good word because it came up. It's what you both want to wrap your heads around is that both of your stories are true in the different ways you're perceiving it, but you're not crossing into really deeply getting what the other is going through because you're blocked. You're blocked on trying to care for the other person, but you're doing it kind of out of some guilt, right? And you don't know how to make that a connection thing. What you're doing is you're debating the terms, right? So Catherine is wanting to make sure that Kevin knows he didn't fail, and she appreciates you, Kevin, right? That's what you want him to know, right, Catherine?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and Kevin wants to know that, wow, this feels kind of crappy. Like it's all a fail with all I do, and I think fail's a pretty darn accurate word for what you're describing. If you're crying throughout a whole session, so what the hell? Does that fit, Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So, go ahead.
she
Go ahead.
comes from I mean, that's her way. Is crying. Crying is a tool. It's a release for her. For me, it's it seems like failure or whatever. I mean, I don't know the last time I cried. Maybe 3-4 years ago.
So what would be a really sweet thing for you to explain, Kevin, is what happens when she cries. Like you understand a lot about that being a release for her, but it also means other things to you. And I want you to pretend like she wouldn't be offended by any of it. There's a lot of meaning behind what it means that she is crying about a lot of things in life, just as she might, being in an emotional place right now. But a fairly nice percentage might be about the marriage. So what happens for you, Kevin?
Well, I mean, I'd like to know what has failed in the marriage, why she's so unhappy that she's crying about our marriage, and is it something that, I mean, is it realistic? I mean, everything is realistic, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what.
Now, Kevin, I want to tell you one thing you can do right now to go directly to the source. You can look at her. Because she's actually very deeply in it. If you slow down a little bit more, she's actually directly in it right now. It's actually on her face.
All right.
It's actually right there, and we're in a little bit of a giggly thing, and I'm glad I'm actually all one for humor. But when you just bring up any idea like, I'm curious to why she's unhappy, that could put her right in the middle of what she would really like you to understand. Not change, not fix, not become a different person to make her happy necessarily so quickly, but to really, really get why she hurts and how different of a story it is from what you go through. So ask her.
I did ask her, and I think boils down to communication. She wants to communicate better or more, but I communicate what I need to communicate, in my opinion, and I don't think she does for a variety of reasons, and I don't know how we overcome that.
Ask her right now.
Yeah. So why don't you? Are you unhappy about not? Is the crux of your unhappiness and crying relationship wise related to communicating with me or connecting?
Okay, before you answer, Catherine, let in very deeply that he has asked you for real and cares and wants to know, no matter how much he's from Mars and you're from Venus. It's completely different what you're upset about than what he's upset about. So imagine he's asking you as deeply as you can let in.
I guess I'm sad that there's not more in our two realities, that there's not a more balanced whole. You get the whole brunt of one side of it, and I'll take the whole brunt of the other side of it, but then we're both having really different things. So I think some of it is communication. Um,
I want to be known more deeply by my husband.
and not, I'll be okay. Being vulnerable. That it's okay for me to be vulnerable. I think the reason I don't say what I need to say a lot of times, I feel like it's burden or something. I'll just wait until you don't have a burden. So, yeah. Or have you heard this before?
Yeah. I don't know where the burden thing comes from. Is it something I do that makes you feel like it's a burden?
I think it's the different. I've said this before. It's just like cultural and family differences. And taking things away as if they aren't necessary. Like body language, like eye contact, tone of voice. We have different set. So that's where I'm like reading the situation or the environment in the room. So I'll be like, okay, how stressful a day did Kevin have today? Do we have time to go into any feelings? No, it's not gonna work tonight. So I'm just gonna go up to the roof for a little while. Because I don't know what else to do. I'm so glad that you asked.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, just pretend for a second that everything you're doing right now to try to understand and help and solve any of it, throw all of those tools out the window. Just if you can and you're willing, just be absolutely stumped about what the hell to do right now. Just stumped. Can you do it?
I'm never stumped, but okay.
Yeah. You're really super confident for real and really freaking smart. And this is one tiny area where it's a little different thing that's being asked of you. I'm not even telling you right now that I have the exact answer, because me and you are sitting here with this how many thoughts going? Because we're sitting here with a woman. Really, really different thing than a man. Super different. Catherine wants to bring things to you that she's upset about and marinate in that experience and know that you'll sit with her in that big soup and tell her it's okay, whatever you're going through. And I want to learn more about it without fixing it.
I know you'll fix it.
I totally understand, and I'm totally with you on this path. But
Okay.
the reality is, she's going to ask a question. Then the last thing was, do I seem like a happy person? Do I seem like a depressed person? And she just came up and asked me that the other night, and my default for okay, we're sick, we have the cold, the kids, we're tired, there's a lot going on. My default is I can't give her an honest right now answer, because I have to analyze the whole thing and make sure that I have, unfortunately, a politically Kevin and Catherine relationship wise right answer, so that she doesn't feel that I'm insulting her or putting her down or being insensitive or something. So it's delicate territory to answer that question, and I can't. So I just said, I'm not ignoring you. I just I can't answer that right now.
Okay, I love that you describe it so sensitively and that you're kind of walking on eggshells a little. I love that, actually. I just want to redirect it into something different. It shows a tremendous amount of care that you're wanting to come back to her and not hurt her feelings. That's really, really awesome and powerful. And if you come at this from some new angles, you might have to do a lot less work. Okay. So let me just give you, let me just get, what'd you say?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So let me just give you a possibility of a different thing. So, so she comes to you and says, do I seem like a depressed person? So here's a different answer, okay, which you can do immediately, which is, that's a really powerful question, and it sounds like a painful one. And if you're perceiving yourself as being depressed, that must hurt a lot. So I don't have an answer. I'd like to know more about why you're asking it and what's going on with you. And she's smiling right now because she's like, holy fuck. That would be exactly what I need. Just one sentence, and all my issues of crying in therapy around my relationship would be gone. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like going in circles. You just said, how's that for you?
So we're right now in the first moment of the entire solution for that question for her. But this has to be real for you, Kevin. Like, you have to make it your own and how you would ask it, and not just use my words. And if you want to go down this path and trust that this is really the way to solve this, you'll ask questions like, well, why the hell is that the way to solve this, or something.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure I get this right. She comes to me and says, what's your view on how I am? Do I seem depressed? Do I seem like a happy person? I'm basically deferring and saying, I need to know more about why you're asking that, why you would be feeling that. I mean, it seems like I'm a therapist.
Okay.
Reasoning, careful. But okay, so in your words, is that right? I should be kind of asking where that's coming, investigating more. I mean, flipping it around rather than answering it.
Absolutely. And it's up to her if she wants to ask you for a solution. You don't ever need to provide solution or figure out a bunch of stuff unless she says, please help me solve something.
But she's asking a question.
Yes.
Answering.
I know. Believe me, I'm sitting here going, aren't women just freaking bizarre? Believe me. Absolutely. Yes, it's a completely different thing. I want you to know that in her face right now, if you're willing to look at it, is total hope. Like, wow, could I actually get this? This would make my whole life different if he would just ask how I'm doing about something that's different from how he's doing, right? She wants this so much, and she's giggling, but if she stops and really breathes into this, she'll be crying hysterically. It's that much on the tightrope. It's right there on the edge. This is her greatest need in the relationship, and it's not that complex.
Okay, so can you repeat how I should answer that again, please?
The question of do I seem like a depressed person is a pretty big, intense question, which tells me you're thinking that there might be some depression in you. I'd like just to know more about why you're asking that and what's going on for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And in her answer might be 9 things that objectively are totally incorrect. Your job is to learn more about those 9 things that you think are nuts, off the charts, overly sensitive, incorrect, improper, basically cuckoo. Because she's actually going through those things and would love you to understand more about that. That's it. They will seem like things that make no sense. And you want to come back, if possible, with no sarcasm and listening. Because as you two have gotten more disconnected over this topic, her stories have gotten more convoluted about trying to figure out how to be with you. She's adjusting to being with you just like you're adjusting to find the politically correct answer to not hurt her feelings. You're both spending your time together adjusting to make sure you don't say the wrong thing instead of connecting. So Kevin, a little hint right now is to just attune to her energy right now. It's really, really big what she's going through inside. The emotions are running up and down her body, through her mind, through her soul. She would love to have this gift of you being her best friend and confidant on top of her husband.
Okay. I'll try and do that.
Aw. So I'm talking for Catherine's subconscious right now.
Then men are really from Mars and women are really from Venus.
Actually, men are from one constellation and women are from another. Mars and Venus are way too close.
Yeah, that's true.
But we had that conversation when we first started. He's like, where are you from?
Yeah. Being competent in the world and with friends is an entirely different relationship than this one.
I guess it goes back to men being the hunters and women being gatherers, and together you need to be cognizant of color, shape, all these different details, and men are like, if it moves, kill it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Are so much more detail oriented.
Yep.
To come up with 9 things and just be like, okay, where do those 9 things come from? Oh, each one of those 9 things has another 9 things behind it. Oh,
Yeah.
and where do those come from? Oh, there's another 9 behind them.
He's
Okay.
so smart.
Keep going.
Yeah. I'm going to go so far as to say, as Kevin, your squishy little caring part is pretty tender. I mean, it's here right now and you're being playful about this, and you really care and you're really curious, and that's real. I don't think it's a big stretch what we're talking about here. It's just a little different. Yeah. So Catherine, is there, it's almost like we should end the session in a way.
Yeah, I was just feeling that.
Except, what'd you say?
I was feeling like, okay, or I was kind of like wrapping things up in my head, like, right, what's...
Yeah. It's almost like it's like I just did this and spoke for you. Kevin's really open to it. And I think pushing you further right now might be too much. Like, is there anything coming up for you, Catherine, that you want to share about how meaningful this is, or you just want to sit? Is this enough emotion?
I think he knows how meaningful it is for me. And I think it's enough emotion in the sense of just really giving time to the differences.
Time to what?
Time to the differences, the different experiences that we go through. Because a lot of my inner storms are, I know they're false. Like I know they're like based off me implanting my stuff on him. And I'm like, that's not. I don't know what it is. Instead of just seeing Kevin, him just seeing me instead of us like swapping together with.
Okay. Do you feel safer right now with him?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can disagree with things in life, and you can feel this kind of safety all the time. Even if you're mad at each other, even if you're disagreeing, there is an underlying, I can tell this person anything. That needs to be prioritized. Think of a spreadsheet. That needs to sort and order to the top. That it feels safe to say things, even if they suck.
So, in that new kind of dance of safety, is it safe to feel sad?
It needs to be. Sadness is a primary thing to share when you're going through it. Yes. If you're sad and you're accepted for that, and it seems like Kevin thinks it's absolutely ludicrous what you're being sad about, but he actually stretches out of that into going, oh, wow, okay, you're sad about that. That's real for you. You won't be sad in a little while. When he interrupts and says, nope, that's not valid, you're sad all day long and seeking the latest medication to get on. Literally. There's no way to resolve it if you get invalidated by this pattern between you two. That's it.
Yeah.
Something came up, Kevin?
What did you say about medication?
If she is constantly in her world invalidated by this pattern you have, there's that I call that emotional danger. She can never get to a point of equilibrium of feeling safe in sharing with you. And that can be changed literally in one paragraph of how you respond in this new way we talked about. That changes it all. And she goes out into the world with 100 times the power to solve problems if she knows she gets to come back and land with you and tell you about it. Five minutes of vulnerability and safety and intimacy makes her next 4 days 100 times more wonderful. She carries this with her, the safety she feels with you, into her day. Or she carries feeling awful and in pain all the time and crying for a whole session because of not having any path to resolving this, because of the ways the conversations have been going. That's why she's crying throughout the therapy session. Is that accurate, Catherine? Yeah.
No, it is.
So implementing this is new. It's different. It's a pattern interrupt. It's a new neural pathway. It'll be done imperfectly and you'll hurt each other's feelings. The question is, can you repair it? If you're gonna hurt each other, it's what relationships do. You hurt each other. The question is, can you, after you hurt each other, recognize, wow, it's now unsafe. We're totally enemies inside in our minds. Can we talk about that? And can we say, I feel disconnected from you and I'm scared to show you how much it hurts to share how easily I get hurt? How do we connect? Do you know how? Do you remember what the hell Derek said to do? That's the path. So I think we're set up for 10 days from now or something?
Yeah.
December 13th? Okay. So either of you feel like you're left hanging with something, or should we close down?
Good.
Close down?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
guys. See you in 10 days.
All right.
Bye-bye. Take care.